Greatest vice president of my lifetime, and perhaps the greatest vice president ever. Al Gore is this country's foremost environmental leader, speaking out on issues time and time again, always before anyone else. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my great pleasure to introduce to you Vice President Al Gore.
This illustrates the well-known saying that denial ain't just a river in Egypt. Lonnie Thompson flies to the glaciers and travels in various ways, not just to watch them melt, but to have core drillings. And they dig down into the ice and pull it back up, and they study the little bubbles of atmosphere trapped in the ice, and they can measure the carbon dioxide and measure the temperature by looking at the different isotopes of oxygen, and they can read every year of the ice the way a forester reads tree rings. A few years back, these hikers were going across the Alps in Italy, and they said, wow, there's a 5,000-year-old man. Never noticed that guy before, because the ice had never melted there before. Now, shifting gears, this is where most of the ice in the world is. 95% of all the fresh water on Earth is locked in the ice in Antarctica. And instead of going back 1,000 years, they can dig down through 10,000 feet of ice and go back 400,000 years. And recently, they completed the record of carbon dioxide and temperature going back all that way. This is what carbon dioxide looks like from the present time all the way back through the last ice age, through the next to last ice age, the period of great warming in between, and 2 more ice ages back to down to the bottom of the Antarctic continent. And at no time in that whole 400,000-year period has it gotten above 300 parts per million or even 280 parts per million. And this is what the temperature record looks like. And there are 2 points to make on that. First of all, it sure does look like those lines go together. And the second point is, this is the difference in current temperatures in New York City and having a mile of ice over your head, because that's what was above Manhattan at this point in time. Now, the current carbon dioxide concentrations are up here, way, way above anything that has been seen in 400,000 years. And midway through this century, unless we take prompt action, it will be here. Now, ask yourself this question. If this much difference on the cold side is a mile of ice over your head, how much, what does this represent on the warm side? And is that all right with everybody? Is that a perfectly sensible risk for us to take? Well, that's my answer also. According to the present administration, it's perfectly all right. No big deal. Shouldn't be worried about it. I think it's reckless in the extreme. And I think that it absolutely has to be addressed. We've all heard about these icebergs the size of Rhode Island breaking off of Antarctica. There have actually been a bunch of them in the last 7 or 8 years, located in green. I'm going to show you a 6-week period in this in the Antarctic Peninsula, just real fast. In 6 weeks, this is what happened 2 years ago. And that now happens on a regular basis. And at times in the very, very distant past, when large chunks of Antarctica plopped into the ocean, the sea level went up 23 feet all of a sudden. That's not in prospect for at least 150, 200 years, maybe more. However, when land-based ice melts, sea level does go up. And in the second largest place where land-based ice is found, in Greenland, Science magazine published this picture just recently. That's rushing water melting in Greenland now, and the scientists are trying to come to grips with exactly what the pattern is there, but there's growing evidence of very dramatic melting and change in Greenland. When the ice melts on land, the sea level goes up. The change is underway right now, everywhere you look on Earth. The sea level increase is projected to displace 10 million environmental refugees in Bangladesh alone. It is also predicted to have a significant impact on Florida. This is the Arctic, which is floating ice. When ice floating on the ocean melts, of course, the sea level doesn't go up. Like an ice cube in a glass of water, it melts, the water level doesn't change. But there are dramatic changes there as well. I went up to the Arctic a couple of times, and these